On today's show, we have again dug into our archives and go back to 2004. We head to Willowbank Raceway on the outskirts of Brisbane as we look back on the 37th running of Australian drag racing's Jewel in the Crown, the Winternationals. Our look back features all the action from both the Group 1 and Sportsman categories. Then we wind a few years forward to 2006 and head to the foreshore of Queensland's Gold Coast, where we look back on round 6 of the 2006 Australian Offshore Superboat Championship. This is Speedweek.
For 7 grueling months they've slugged it out. Long nights in the shed, even longer days on the highway. All with one thing on their minds: a visit to the holy grail of Australian drag racing and victory at the Winternationals. It might be cold in June where you are, but it's always hot at the winters. So we're here at Willowbank Raceway. Plenty of glamour, plenty of stuff going on for this enormous crowd for the 37th annual Winternationals. What an event this is going to be. Beautiful conditions. Sun is out. This crowd is here in force. Not just race car drivers here though, also Olympians as well. And the Australia's only Olympic shot putter, Justin and Lazar, here to say those immortal words.
Gentlemen and women, let's start your engines.
And so it's time to turn these beasts loose. If that was a shot put, they were about to see some javelins of fire, that's for sure. Nathan Prendergast, a massive crowd. It must be the Winternationals.
Certainly is. 38,000 people have made their way to this awesome venue in Ipswich in Queensland. Jim Reed comes forward now for the burnout in the Auto 1 Top Fuel Dragster up against Roy Smith. 7 of the country's best top fuel cars here this weekend, but unfortunately the Australian champion Johnny Cowan not here. Jim Reed has had all sorts of problems, was unable to get the car into reverse on his first qualifying attempt, and finally was able to get a number 2 qualifying position with a 5.20, but as you can see, a lot of fire and actually torched a brand new billet engine.
Hasn't been the best of years for Jim Reed, that's for sure, though his mind has been elsewhere. Smith, the Atherwood and Smith entry.
You can see Rob Cavannino there just backing up, guiding the Auto 1 Top Fuel Dragster back into its place. And of course, very important part of the crew there, actually guides the car back into the tyre marks that the car has left after the burnout.
37,000 people, 38,000 odd people. What a massive Australian sporting event that is. The Queensland group bringing us Top Field Eliminator.
Yes, cars coming forward into stage now. These 7,000 horsepower Top Fuel Drags just pumping out awesome amounts of fuel. And just look at the people on both sides of the racetrack ready to get these cars unleashed. A drop cylinder for Reed. Big problems for Smith though. Jim Reed will drive it through the light. A pretty lazy run, but still runs a 5.39, 267 mile an hour or 427 kilometres an hour. A 6.42 at 175 for Smith is a little bit off the pace, however, still fairly consistent, got the car from A to B. On the replay, you can see the left side of the engine immediately off the step of the throttle. Jim's car is hosing raw fuel. A lot of mixed up cylinders for Smith, but Jim Reed will need to improve if he wants to go further on in this event.
It's such a pronounced groove too, isn't it? I mean, they've been running at this circuit for how many years? Just look at this Auto 1 drag to get it down.
You can see Denise Reed wheeling her husband on down the racetrack. They really have had a rotten run of luck, as you said, Wade, and they wanted to do very well for this final round of the championship.
Now, Poppy Reed driving the Santos Grange entry this weekend. A fairly regular driver in this car. Renowned as one of the best cars in the country too, it should be said.
Yeah, Steve Reed and Santo Rapasato have had a long time association. Steve has driven many of Santo's cars over a number of years, and this car was also driven by Mike Dunn, was at one stage the national speed record holder. Steve, though, was the #1 qualifier with a 4.94 at 258 miles an hour, but that was the best the car ran all qualifying.
And so now up solo pass here.
Yes, #1 qualifier with only 7 cars. He does get the bye run to the next round. American Glenn Micro swinging the spanners, doing the tune-up on this car again. So maybe in these nice conditions, good racetrack, Micros might be looking for a number here.
That's such an awesome shot from the rear. Trouble.
Well, at 5:07 at 249 mile an hour, you see the speed way down, but burning up parts. Now, it's always bad to burn up parts, but it's worse when it's on a solo pass. That car torching some heads or doing something very nasty indeed. We have a look at the replay here. You can see it immediately drops the cylinder. Have a look at the right side of the motor. You can see the raw fuel start to pour out of one of the pipes. Now, when it does that, the other cylinders become lean. They do more work. The engine gets under stress. You see the obvious result. A fair bit of damage and a lot of fire.
Yeah, but better that now than to say a semi-final.
That is true. There is Steve Reed walking away from the car. He'll be back for the semi-final. Terry Sainty just sitting very comfortably in the car up against the outlaw Luke Shepard. The Shepard family put so much into their Top Fuel racing, into drag racing in general, as the two Gulf Western cars roll forward.
Yeah, speaking of people that invest heavily in the sport, Gulf Western Oils have really gotten behind both these operations. Sainty has been dead set unlucky recently. He had big motor trouble at the Western Sydney complex just recently. They basically manufacture everything from the ground up, except for the rubber. They haven't yet designed a way of designing their own rubber. I'm sure they're working on it.
Well, these guys are so close to something big with this car. In qualifying, they ran an incredible speed of 292 miles an hour with a 5:20 elapsed time to back it up as well, and a fair few sparks into the braking area. Once they get this car to run on all 8 cylinders, they have not gone from A to B with all 8 cylinders alive. Once they do, this car is going to be on a march.
It should be pointed out why John Cowan is not here this weekend. The Cowan family have that dragster already being shipped to the States, where Andrew will take care of the driving duties over in the USA, the family operation. So they would have liked to have been here, but timing didn't work out for the newly crowned Australian champion Johnny Cowan.
That certainly is the case. Luke Shepard in beside Terry Sainty. Luke, the young 21-year-old Top Fuel racer, a real star of the future in this category, and they certainly put every dime into their Top Fuel racing, and it would be great to see these guys also move forward into the next round of eliminations. For the Queensland group, Top Fuel. Both cars come into stage. Listen for the engine note to drop down as the driver brings the car into full stage. They pull the second fuel pump off, take their foot off the clutch, hang on to the brake, then stab the throttle. Oh!
Shepard's gone.
Shepard out of shape, Sainty with a fireball through the lights. And he stops the clocks with a 5:21, 246 miles an hour or 394 kilometres an hour. The speed down a little bit, but you can see why, because the car was starting to come apart. Fair bit of fire for him in the top end of the racetrack.
And it's a no-brainer as to why those straps attaching the car to the chutes are fireproof, because, man, there was a serious barbecue going on at the back of that Gulf Western Oils drag. You see here Shepard in all sorts of bother right from the outset, gets out of the groove. Looked like he already had trouble on that crowd side of the motor there as well. And look at Sainty here, fireball.
Yes, the Dino's Cranes car in all sorts of trouble, but I think more problems for Sainty in the engine department. At least he got the win and made it through to the semi-final.
Bob Shepard and his quarter-mile smile right there. He's up against Darren Morgan in the Lamartina family entry dragster. Nathan caught up with him earlier. They're having a great deal of success.
If you're going to do something, you may as well do it right. And that's exactly the attitude of the Lamartina family, whose recent entry into the Australian Top Fuel scene has got everyone talking.
The Nitro Champs was just a dream come true, a fairy tale beginning.
We started off originally with an old XW GT that we put a big 460 big block engine in it.
We progressed that into a Capri that we ran in supercharged Outlaws.
We got a business, Morgan Performance Engineering in Mildura, and they come to us with their street car, so we hopped that up for them. It wasn't enough, of course, like everything.
We said we wanted to step up with fuel, and we went to America in October and packed this car up here, and it got here just before Christmas, and we've been working flat out to get it here for the Nitro Champs 3 weeks ago, and now here in the winters.
I would have had no more than 2 days off since Christmas, I'd say, since we started on this deal, and I work from like 7 in the morning until 10 or 11 at night, so it's not just I'm putting in, it's my wife. The boys are the same, they come around all the time. There's a million man-hours being put into this car.
I like to stand behind the scenes and do a lot of the organising, and I'd like to see the car do well, even if I wasn't driving, and that's the main thing. Darren's got the job, and he does it quite well.
It is by far the fastest thing. I've been in jets and aeroplanes and off the tall drops and all the stuff, and this thing's killer. And if you want it to go faster and see it more consistent, buy more carrots.
We produce about 30,000 tonne of carrots a year.
The question that everybody always asks is why Top Fuel, and really up to now we really don't know 100% why, but we're definitely going to find out.
We've only done 8 passes since we started this deal, so to back it up's a big ask. We're going to do our absolute best to do that, of course. We haven't got the inventory the other guys have got, the experience the other guys have got, but we've got the heart to kill an elephant, so we'll do all we can do.
Yeah, so a message to Aussie kids, my two included, eat your carrots. Yeah, hope we can make the Lamatinas go faster. There's always a reason why you should eat your veggies.
Up against Bob Shepard in the Gulf Western Oils top fuel car. Darren Morgan, well, he has got the horsepower. Can he get it to the racetrack? That's what it's all about. They have had a very busy weekend. This was on their first qualifying pass on Friday night. The car looked good until a huge fireball, and a 560 was good enough to see them pretty comfortably into the field, but a lot of damage for the team, and they didn't come back with a better pass after that. You can see immediately the green tinge in the header flames. It was starting to burn some heads up, and then backfired the supercharger in a huge way. Fortunately, Darren was A-OK, but the car sustaining a fair bit of damage and a lot of work for the team.
I hope Daddy Lamatina wasn't watching. He would be quite concerned. As I said, not so much about the financial aspects of that, but the safety involved. It's a great looking dragster. That seemed to be very similar to when this team inherited that set of loaned heads from Graham Cowan at Western Sydney, when they had a big torch down there as well.
Yes, they certainly did burn up some heads in Sydney. That was only 3 weeks ago. Now at the Winternationals, they've got to back up that performance. Up against Bob Shepard in another one of the Gulf Western Oils top fuel dragsters. And if enthusiasm means anything, Bob Shepard should already be Australian top fuel champion. That guy really loves his racing.
Let's see if there is in fact a smile on quarter mile style at the end of this one. Oh yes sirree, Lamatina boys in trouble. Shepard runs it through, a good pass.
A personal best, as a matter of a fact, a 5.13 with a 3. You can see the crew, they're happy to be in the semi-final, but a 5.13 makes it that much sweeter. 280 miles an hour, or 448 kilometres an hour, and Bob Shepard moves to the semi-final. The fairy tale ends for the Lamatina team. Let's have a look at the replay. Too much horsepower. The car left hard with the wheels in the air, smoked them. Darren did a good drive job to keep it in the lane, and Bob Shepard powered his way down, a 5.13.
Bob hammers the Lammers here at the Winternationals. It's that kind of event where anything can and will happen. Here's another look back down the quarter mile. Shepard's car tracking beautifully. Look at that in contrast. For a second there I thought Darren was heading hard right, but look at Shepard. A great run in front of a massive crowd. The Queensland Group Top Fuel.
What happens in the approximately 120 minutes between rounds on a top fuel dragster team is nothing short of amazing. The amount of work that these guys do in preparing the cars for competition could take your average mechanic anything up to a couple of weeks.
After a top fuel car makes a pass, the team immediately go to work on it, in some cases even before it returns to the pits. A team, each with their own set task, goes to work pulling the engine apart piece by piece until it is stripped down to a bare block. The clutch is completely removed and the crew assess the data and damage, making any repairs necessary, replacing anything from a few pistons up to the entire engine block. After the heads are serviced and the parts are regrouped, the entire process works in reverse, rebuilding the engine and clutch for warm-up. The car is fueled, and after some tune-up and clutch changes, it's restarted to warm it up prior to the next pass.
With the parts in these engines under such extreme pressures and time so precious, a good crew on a top fuel team could mean the difference between winning or losing.
American Auto Parts bringing you Top Alcohol now. And this is going to be an interesting battle. Can anyone knock off this man, Mr. Top Alcohol, Gary Phillips in the Lucas Oil Products Aussie Bananas dragster?
Yes, and Gary Phillips looking very good, actually, to take his 11th, would you believe it, 11th Top Alcohol Championship here this weekend, if he makes it a few more rounds. He was already the #1 qualifier. He did that on his very first pass on Friday night. A 5.74 at 243 miles an hour, or up near 400 kilometres an hour. And that was good enough to keep him in the #1 qualifying position. No one got near him. Well, Rob Ambrosi, no burnout from him, Wade.
That is very surprising indeed, because Ambrosi is known for some pretty powerful burnouts.
Ambrosi did burn the car hard up in qualifying. You can see, look at all the smoke coming out of the car. That was his final qualifying session. Oh, look at the car has asthma, big time. Obviously, the damage done to that car is beyond repair. He's just going to put it into stage under his own power. A think you'll see that Phillips will have a pretty comfortable run here.
Yep, you're right. Ambrosi never even left the line, did he? So let's see what Phillips runs this through. Was he being half serious about it all?
No, he shut the car off. It looks like it shook pretty hard there, and he rolls it through to a 7.14. Only 230 kilometres an hour, so the speed well down.
And here is the sponsor of the championship and also the driver of the American Autos entry, Dean Oakey, who has been, well, his team have had a pretty busy time of it. They had a crash at Western Sydney, which it will total the car. They had to build a new car in time, and now he comes up against Debbie Reed.
Yes, the first of the two Reed family top alcohol cars competing here this weekend, as they have done throughout the entire 2004 championship. Debbie Reed didn't really get down the racetrack too well in qualifying. Dean Oakey, however, did very well indeed. A lot of tyre shake from Ferguson in beside him, but Oakey ran a 5.80 at 234 miles an hour to qualify him into the number 2 spot. So a good job getting on top of that combination in the American Autos car.
Yeah, Ferguson's car, though, beautifully turned out, isn't it? With all the chrome panels, it really does look sharp. Now, Debbie Reed, what can she do with Oakey? You'd lean towards Oakey a little bit. Debbie's been a little bit unlucky of herself. She had a pretty disastrous run at Western Sydney for her previous run. She's looking forward to knocking Oakey off. There's half a chance.
Yeah, she actually banged the supercharger clean off the top of the car there in the first round. She was looking for her first 5-second pass at that event. Maybe it can come on this pass because she hasn't done it in qualifying. Small block Chev for Reed, the big Hemi for Oakey. He gets the wheels in the air and has a car length by the first camera. And Oakey will get the win and gets it comfortably. 5.76, 236 kilometres an hour. I think that's the low ET for him in that car.
Got to be happy with that. It all went to plan, didn't it? Front wheels raised off the air, nothing to worry about at all there. It was a very smooth transition of power. And he just ran it through.
Yeah, a little puff of smoke as it dropped the wheels down, as we see Ferguson now, who fires up the beautifully shiny looking top alcohol dragster all the way from South Australia. Speaking of all the way,
yeah, across another ball.
Yes, the West Australian Damien Harris. Great job, tough looking race car.
They refer to him as Damien Who Harris in Dragster Australia magazine because not a lot is known about him, but he got off the line very nicely then. This was in qualifying and he ran a 5.90. That is a personal best. So Harris, the Sandgroper, and opening a few eyes up.
Yes, number 3 qualifier, and as you said, a PB. Wade, their team very happy with that. Stuart Rowland and all the crew behind Damien Harris, very, very pleased with that. Scott Ferguson, great to see him back at Willowbank Raceway, who's had a couple of runs at Western Sydney International Dragway. Hasn't made it past the first round, would like to do so up against Harris. However, I think a personal best from Ferguson somewhere in the 6.1s in qualifying. As a matter of fact, it was a 6.18, so he needs to make up around 0.3 of a second if Harris stays on his pace. There is Steve Harker, very cluey man when it comes to tuning these cars, and is actually still the speed record holder for top alcohol funny car.
The Burrell electroplating entry now moving into stage. It's been a good battle. Notice all the autographs across the bonnet of the car just then. Will it be West Aussie v South Australia? It'll be a good battle.
Harris is into stage, revs are up. Ferguson's got to bring the car forward into stage. You can hear the revs certainly up a bit. Ferguson comes out hard. Harris has got the edge. Harris is near the wall. He's doing a big drive job.
Oh, yeah.
Who gets the win?
It's Ferguson who will claim the win. It was all to do with the whole shot. It was conclusive, to say the least, but to the naked eye, it looked like Harris had driven around him.
Yeah, he's banged the supercharger clean off the top of the motor. Have a look at that engine in the back of that dragster. The supercharger just laying off the side. Look at it shake the tyres. A 6.12 beats a 6.08. He had the advantage on the start line. Harris really had to drive that car, got right out near the wall. And have a look at this on the finishing line. Well, I'll tell you what, that's why we have timers. I would have picked Harris to get the win there. The timers say it's Ferguson. Look at how that funny car moves around Wade. What a drive job. And then the supercharger lets go on Ferguson's dragster. He's got a bit of work to do before the semi-final.
Well, Harris had to do it all in the marbles, didn't he? He really didn't have any assistance at all from the groove. As we take a look now at some of the onboard pictures here, this would be Steve Reed.
Yes, the Newline Oil Products onboard camera as the body drops down over the engine on that funny car. Funny cars, of course, the driver sits behind the engine over the top of the differential. Really positive cars to drive, a lot more like your standard road car in the steering capability, where dragsters, you have to be a little bit finer with the wheel movement, a little bit more finesse required. You muscle these cars down the racetrack though. Speaking of muscling down the racetrack, this is Steve Reed in qualifying, where he went to the number 4 spot with a 5.95. And that's the run into the braking area at night here at Willowbank.
Of course, it should be pointed out that the Newline product, that really is an instant engine starter. It's a rather unique name for it. It implies what a lot of people have no doubt cursed. Clever name for the Newline instant engine starter product.
Yes, Steve Reid has done very well of late in the last couple of rounds of the Australian Top Alcohol Championship. Went all the way to the final at Western Sydney International Dragway, only to smoke the tyres and be beaten by Gary Phillips. Dean McLennan had all sorts of dramas at that event, backfired I think something like 4 superchargers and ended up getting very close to hitting the wall in the semi-final. Steve Reid is finding a bit of form. The car's been running some big speeds. McLennan, I think, has been a little bit off the pace of late. He's got to find something big to get around that Newline car.
You lean towards McLennan here, though. You never know. Is he going to be able to knock him off? Beautiful conditions for it. McLennan got loose, and Reid tracking like a rocket. A beautiful run.
It certainly is. 584, 242 miles an hour. That's the quickest run of that car for the weekend. They'll be very happy with that. I think it's just off their personal best as well of a 582. You saw McLennan had to get off the throttle. The car shook the tyres pretty hard, and from there on, no one was going to catch that Newline Products running car of Steve Reid. Here's the onboard now.
Isn't it good to see Steve Reid get a solid run in the books and advance forward? It's a great result for the Newline team, but they'll be hard to beat. Time now for round one. The Queensland Times bringing you Pro Stock Bike Eliminator. And this has been an enthralling class. We've been following this with interest over the last few weeks, whether it's been here in Queensland or in Sydney. Daniel Peaty, Morris Allen, Densmore, Scary. These guys love to get in it. Nev Langley. Endless list of stars.
Yes, and we just saw Daniel Peaty on screen with his brand new motorcycle. There it is there, flown out from the United States. It has the same engine in it as he ran in the older bike. Up against Graham Weston on the Suzuki, but Peaty's new bike took him to the #1 qualifying position with a 7:53, 168 mile an hour. Can he get around Weston? Weston got a massive hole shot him on the start line, but the speed of Peaty's bike is better around the top end of the racetrack. 7:64 beats a 7:89. Peaty into the semi-final.
Well, it didn't look like it was going that way, did it? Morris Allen on the Suzuki GSXR 1327. Morris has been a pretty consistent runner. Damien Densmore has the potential to do a big thing here.
Speaking of potential, Morris Allen is the other man that's in contention for the Australian Pro Stock Motorcycle Championship up against Peaty. And Morris Allen put in the quickest side-by-side pass in Australia's history with Sam Scary in qualifying. This time runs a 7:63 at 173 miles an hour, or 277 kilometres an hour. Now, Morris Allen needs those additional points of low ET and top speed. Currently, he's got the speed, but he doesn't have the ET that's held by his championship rival, Peaty.
Scary now up against Michael Gilbertson. Sam Scary, certainly the more fancied of the two, though in this class, they love to knock off the big guns. Look at this, elbows right up. Scary furthest from camera position.
Yeah, and Scary, the new holder of the Australian record for low ET in Pro Stock motorcycle. That's a 7:55. Scary's going to get the win here and get it quite comfortably, as a matter of fact. A 7:66 beats a 7:98. So Sam Scary moves into the semi-finals of Queensland Times Pro Stock Motorcycle.
Now on the line, one of the most spectacularly turned out machines, Callum Goodesi on the Suzuki GSXR 1327. Callum, a beautifully turned out bike, up against Nev Langley. Nev's not a lot of show and polish about Nev, he just gets it done.
Yes, Nev, not the latest body styles on that bike, but don't dismiss it. It's a very, very quick motorcycle. As a matter of fact, this is the quickest field in Australian Pro Stock history. Every bike into the 7s, and 4 of them into the 750s. Goodesi out of the groove near the centre line, and Langley goes to the semi-final.
That trip to the white line cost Callum badly. ITEL Community Telco bringing you the Supercharged Outlaw Eliminations now. Round 1 of 4. Talk about a competitive field. Tom Coonan, what a great looking XR8.
Yes, this is the beauty of this category. There's a huge variety of equipment. We've got funny cars. Speaking of funny cars, Steve Swinsko seems to have a problem. They're pushing back that funny car, and that will give Tommy Coonan the solo pass into the next round of racing. Supercharged Outlaws is a dial-your-own category for the fastest 8 open cars. That means funny cars, dragsters or alters. versus the fastest 8 sedan cars like the one on screen at the moment. What makes this even more interesting here at the Willowbank Winternationals is that a couple of guys have been disqualified for illegalities with their fireproof underwear, and it's allowed some other competitors into the field, and it's really a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. Really, anyone could win. Of course, being dial your own, that's always the case.
Chris Loy, the Commodore Chevy 454, the Loy Brothers Racing entry in the lane nearest to camera, up against the Torrey.
Yeah, Daniel Callahan in the Cal 400, massively powered Tirana. It's got a 5-second engine in it. Look at the massive PSI supercharger hanging out of the bonnet of that car.
Oh, look at that car hanging out of that supercharger.
Yeah. Well, reverse of problems there for Loy, so the officials and the crew just helping him push that car back to the start line. As I said before, this is a 200-mile-an-hour race car, and being dial your own like Supercharged Outlaws is, it means that you can have the performance differences between the two cars. But if you can run consistently and close to your dial-in, you can get the win.
Well, Loy, it wasn't pretty at all off the line, was it? He got real spooky.
Yeah, red light for Loy. Unfortunately, he throws it away. He would have got there first, but he hands the win to Daniel Callahan, a 7.60 at 195 mile an hour, or 313 kilometres an hour for Callahan to move into the next round of eliminations.
Oh, you got to love this. The Monaro, 540 cubic inch Chev. Alan Ebden against the Altered.
Yeah, Peter Merrigan in beside him in the small block supercharged Chev-powered T-Bucket. Nice looking car, very futuristic. Ebden in the Monaro, big, stocky, tough-looking car, like the engine that powers it, 540 cubic inches, and the 23 T-Bucket of Merrigan.
That's a great-looking car, isn't it? The Vandal. You got to love that. Very nicely turned out. Likewise, this, a classic Australian muscle car, slightly improved in its performance.
I might explain dial your own for a moment as we have a look at Alan Ebden. This is in qualifying, got the wheels right in the air, brought the car down hard, with a few sparks and bits and pieces falling out from underneath of it, and Ebden managing to get into the field. But dial your own, the drivers during qualifying work out how quickly their car should run. They therefore nominate that time. You can see on the side of the window for Ebden, he had a 7.45. Therefore, if he can run close to that 7.45, he should be looking all right for the win. The car was nasty, and I think Merrigan is going to get through the next round.
Yeah, the Monaro was ugly right from the get-go, wasn't it? Merrigan will, in fact, run it through with a 7.63, 284 miles an hour.
284 kilometres an hour, 178 miles an hour. Here's a car that certainly lights a fire in a lot of people's hearts. Simon Holgerson in the Volkswagen. Big, strong bird. Oh, he's all out of shape. Gets very close to the centre line. He's got to keep it off the centre line, otherwise he's disqualified. Oh, but he's got bigger problems than that.
God.
He set the fire bottle off inside the car. Have a look at that.
Look inside the cockpit. Oh, man, that's not good at all.
Oh, look at the fire.
That was bourbon foam. He's having a party in there, but that's a tragic result.
Have a look at the replay. The car got out of shape on the burnout, and obviously the flailing of arms inside the cockpit. You can see he's locked up the front wheels there. The flailing of arms, he's knocked the extinguisher bottle and embarrassed himself quite severely, I would say.
Look at that. He wouldn't have got a huge Bronx cheer for this massive Queensland crowd, I wouldn't have thought. Much.
That gives Bill Fletcher the solo pass into the next round of racing, and he runs a 7.40 at 284 kilometres an hour. It was dialed in with a 7.53, so he'll be looking to drop that for the next round of competition.
See, there's some great looking cars. Here is Brett Hoare in the EH Holden with the Musashi sponsorship on board, the Chevy 516. And this thing is a great looking entry. Daniel Reid, the T-Bucket.
Yes, son of Steve and Debbie Reid. But what's incredible about this is Brett Hoare wasn't even meant to be in the field. He only got the call 10 minutes ago to make it to the racetrack with all the disqualifications in another car unfortunately dropping out. The Musashi entry is lucky to be here in the first round of eliminations up against the track champion Reid. A 4.00 light for Hoare, but a red light from Reid. Hoare goes through to the next round. How's that for luck?
Geez, only 10 seconds away from the call-up. He did a great job to be there, and now he goes through. Bad luck for Reid. Timmy Caswell, the Fairlane, a 480 Rodeck. Big car to be getting down the quarter mile.
Yes, it certainly is, and Caswell's certainly been finding a lot of form of late up against Colin Burke. And Burke, this is a great example of what you see in Supercharged Outlaws for ITEL Community Telco. Sedan cars versus open cars. And
you'd almost have a T-bucket class, there's that many of them.
well, there's certainly a lot of people that love their altered racing. We've got a 757 dial in for Caswell, a 720 for Burke in the altered. So what you'll see is the sedan will lead first, then the supercharged altered will have to chase him down.
Look at it idling up. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes, they hunt their way into stage, and wheels in the air for the altered. Caswell's got the jump. Can he stay? Oh,
jeez.
Burke out of shape and out of the throttle, and managed to keep the thing upright. Caswell moves through the next round of racing and gets the win, runs an 810 at 265 kilometres an hour. And very, very lucky there for Burke not to get in a little bit more drama.
Oh, you're going to love this. Russell McKay, the 63 Corvette. Beautifully turned out car. What a paint scheme on it. Up against Ian Cawthray in the Dragster 388.
Yes, and what's also unique about this beautiful Corvette, apart from the driver's helmet, which is massive, is this car's actually powered by a 500 cubic inch Sainty engine. And so the Sainty's not only running a outfit in top fuel, but they've got a motor in supercharged Outlaws. Gotta love that helmet.
You do, don't you? I was going to say, the eyes look so intense. They're perfectly suited to the mouth. That is just a great looking helmet.
Let's see if that helmet's good enough to make it through the next round. Cawthray gets out with the wheels in the air. I think the Corvette's going to be in all sorts of trouble to catch him. Nearly gets there. 743 for the win, but a big speed, 324 kilometres an hour for the Corvette. Unfortunately, he's not going to make it back for the next round of racing.
Alan Sarkis, the 540 cubic inch Chevy Centura. This is a powerful car, the aggro one. Look how far it ended up down the strip. Here's a car we're seeing a lot of, though, the Torrey of Johnny Cannulli, a 348 Chevy Tirana.
Yes, has had a fair bit of success in supercharged Outlaws. Has been a winner at the Western Sydney International Dragway for the USA versus Australia Jet Car meeting, and have since put a new supercharger on that car, and they've had trouble making it go in a straight line. Here's another great helmet for Alan Sarkis. Look at that.
Definitely got the teeth for it, hasn't he?
Complete with saliva streaming off the major fangs. Problems for Cannulli. The crew are pushing it back. So Sarkis gets a chance to test the dial-in. We'll move through to the next round of racing. This is one tough car. Have a look at it. Pick the front wheels up in the air and runs it through. Stops the clocks with a 673, 190 miles an hour.
Stay with us, folks. We're just getting fired up. Back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching the Winternationals from Willowbank Raceway in Queensland. Time now for the Lifestyle Carpets and Vinyl Superstock Eliminator. A couple of great-looking cars out here. With a West Aussie influence too. The Kostecki Engine Centre sponsored entry.
Bit of concern here over the car. Now it goes forward for the burnout. Was that a burnout? Well, the car rolled forward pretty slowly indeed, so I'm not sure what's going on with this car. This is obviously the second round of elimination. In qualifying, however, Nick Sarakis in the Ford Pro went to the number one spot with a 767, smashing his 827 index. Unfortunately, he didn't make the first round of eliminations, though. And Vincenzo Demizio comes forward now to take on the Kostecki boys. Andrew Kostecki in the Mustang.
Yeah, these guys well known for making big numbers over there in Western Australia. Their Engine Performance Centre, very well known in motorsport circles. Let's see whether Andrew can do the job here. No, big problems.
Oh, that's a real shame for Kostecki's. They could have been the Australian champions in Superstock Eliminator. We'll have to see as the rounds continue on who is going to be their nearest rivals. Demizio stops the clocks with an 891 at only 182 kilometres an hour, saving his index. Of course, this is Group 2 racing, where indexes are employed rather than dial-ins. The difference with an index and a dial-in, well, there's a lot, but the main one is you can't go quicker than a dial-in. You can go quicker than an index.
So Johnny Tavares and Mark Ashford up in this one. Tavares in the Falcon, Mark Ashford in the Nissan Coupe.
Superstock made up of a big variety of cars, all of them with different levels of modifications. You can see here the XC looks a little bit more stock, whereas Ashford's turbocharged Nissan has obviously a lot of modifications. Full tube chassis, sits right on the ground, makes big horsepower and has had quite a number of tweaks. Oh, red light for the Falcon. Ashford moves into the semi-finals and does it quite comfortably.
Well, that is disappointing, isn't it? Because I thought Tavares had an excellent chance. thing just leapt off the ground.
Ashford still ran the car quite hard, runs an 8.06 at 170 mile an hour on an 8.21 index, so he hurts it for the next round of racing. Obviously, he didn't see the red light and drove it through the back door.
Drama's here in 8th.
Les Hines with the bonnet up on that beautiful Camaro. Trevor Mass has done his burnout, and they have had trouble starting this car. Obviously, it ran because it's pulled forward into the water, but now it won't start. A lot of frustration. They're pushing it back, and Trevor Mass gets a solo pass into the semi-finals. Can you believe your luck?
Obviously, that car is for sale. Very clear sign running on the side, so yeah, this is an easy run. A free kick, he will straight through to the next round.
Yes, he's running on an 8.70 index. You can see he pulls the chute early and rolls to a 9.34. I mentioned you can go quicker than your index, but you get a time penalty. That index then drops down for the next round of elimination, and what that means is it makes it harder to beat your opponent.
Bruno Cavallo, his immaculate Pontiac. Oh, not a really big burnout by any means there, up against Colin Lloyd. Both guys, in fact, nothing real special from a burnout perspective.
Well, that's not what this class is about. They're a little bit more finesse involved in superstock racing. They don't do the big grunty, brutey, big horsepower burnouts, but it's about getting the most out of their engines, fine-tuning these cars to run very, very quickly out of, realistically, not a lot of capacity. Colin Lloyd with the advantage off the start line due to his index. Cavallo's got to do the chasing. I don't know whether he can do it. Lloyd's got the edge, and he will get there. Cavallo looked like he actually rolled off the throttle, and Lloyd runs an 8.55 at 149 mile an hour or 238 Ks. Hurts his 8.70 index, but he'll be back in the semi-finals a little bit later on.
Round 2 now of the ITEL Community Telco Supercharged Outlaws here at the Winternationals, here at Willowbank Raceway. Tom Coonan in the XR84, the Holtz crane hire entry, and that is a sharp-looking car. And Corthray and the dragster up against him now. This is such a competitive class, Nathan.
Yes, it certainly is, and a huge field of cars. I mean, oversubscribed, a lot of people missing out, and it's great to see that Queensland has such a strong and super tough field of supercharged cars, both with sedans and the open cars. Coonan, very experienced racer in Supercharged Outlaws, has had a massive crash. Corthray with some real problems. The car suffers on the start line, and Tommy Coonan's going to get a very comfortable win here. He rolls through to a 7.61 at 278 kilometres an hour, so rolls right off, and luckily too with a 7.50 dial-in. He didn't want to damage that one.
Well, it's a pretty stout run for him. I'm sure that Callahan will want to pour an extra bit of heat to the coals in this one. The Holden Tirana is a weapon, isn't it? How good does that look? It's like showroom condition stuff.
Yes, up against Bill Fletcher in the 362 cubic inch small block Chev-powered dragster. The thing I like about the Cal 400 Tirana is the way it actually sits up off the racetrack, a lot like a standard car. It's not dropped and chopped and channeled and everything else like a lot of the blown cars you see. It looks like a real road car with a massive engine in it. Fletcher gets out. Now the Cal car starts to chase him down. Fletcher's out of the groove. Callahan gets around him in the top end of the racetrack.
I thought he left that too late.
What a drive, 7.50 at 195 mile an hour. I was with you, Wade. I thought he left it too late. He came around the top end of the racetrack and got the win. Great job.
Well, some big names toppling at the moment. Timmy Caswell, the Fairlane backed by Penrite. 480 cubic inch Rodex snuggled in there. Big burnout for him. Look at the smoke in there. And here's Peter Merrigan, the Vandal, the 1923 T-Bucket. Had a strong run in its previous performance.
The good thing that I've noticed lately is that all the combinations we're seeing are definitely sedan versus open cars. So, Caswell throws it away. A pair of red lights, as a matter of fact. Caswell goes first, so unfortunately he is the loser. Merrigan, all he has to do is roll it across the finishing line, and he makes his way into the semi-final. So Merrigan there with a 9.56 at only 127 kilometres an hour. Good enough, though, because of the red light.
And this is a beautiful looking car too, the E.H. Holden, the Musashi entry. It should look good. It's polished lovingly by Ben, Isabel, Jack and Tom. The 4 kids man, where does Brett Hoare get the time to be doing that with his lovely wife, Nicole?
Yes, they certainly love their racing and travelled up to the country. Of course, these guys were former winners of the Supercharged Outlaws category at the Western Sydney International Dragway, the last event that was held there. So these guys coming off a high, but what's more remarkable is they actually weren't even meant to be in the field. It's fantastic that they're here and in the second round.
Used to be the proprietors of an Autobarn store. They're now working from home on the Mums Win family business. And away goes Hoare Sarkis with a lot of work to do. Sparks from underneath that car. The Centura's not going to get there. Hoare hosing a bit of smoke or vapour off the side. Will run it through.
Yeah, Sarkis with some problems, but Hoare gets the win. 783 at only 207 kilometres an hour. So rolled off the throttle. He'll be back for the semi-finals a little bit later on.
The name Shepard is synonymous in the sport of drag racing. For over 40 years, Bob Shepard and his brother Mark Shepard have been around this sport.
We've been involved since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, if you like. And to get to this level in the sport has always been a dream of ours.
It has been a long run and a good run. This sport is everything to me. I love this sport.
You know, people don't want to see old dinosaur like me in the sport anymore. They'd rather see a young up-and-coming star like Luke. So Luke's 21 years of age, the youngest top fuel pilot in the country.
I mean, I've always watched people like Jim Reed in Australia and guys like Kenny Bernstein in America, and it's just a dream come true, top fuel.
We keep asking Mark why he won't drive himself. I think he's chicken.
Well, it's quite possible he'd say that, yeah, that's right, but believe me, it's purely a marketing exercise. I'd love to get back in the car.
But how tough is it? Two battling teams taking on the giants in the world of top fuel racing.
It's not only a challenge, it's not fair.
See, we're a budget team and we do it tough, but I think we give them a good run.
We're right there, right behind them, right there, and that's the object. If I can run 520s, 510s, and they might run 4s all day, but that particular run they blow something, you can just nip past the last little bit. So it's daunting, it's exciting, but it's a challenge too.
It's a major sacrifice, Paul. Every cent we earn, the wife, myself, goes into this car. As I say, it's always been a love of my life. I was lucky enough, Luke came on board. Luke took to it like a duck to water. As I say, we're putting everything we have into the sport now to try and make Luke the hero within the sport that he should be.
Man, that says it all about how much this sport means to that family. Well, we've lost Luke, but you know what? That's okay when Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, Uncle Bob, Kenny salvaged some pride for the Shepard family. I'm sure he's going to try his hardest. Up against the #1 qualifier, though, man. Steve Reed and Glenn Mycroft, the Sandoz Cranes top fuel dragster.
Well, win, lose or draw, the Shepard family are going to have a grin on their faces, aren't they? They just live for it. Pommy, hoping for a good run in the Sandoz Cranes entry. I do love it. It's got a real mean look about it, the Sandoz Cranes machine. I don't know if it's the black wheels or what, but it looks tough.
It certainly does. It's the latest gear from the US. Sano Rapisada imported it early this year in 2004. It was driven for the first time by Mike Dunn at the opening of Western Sydney International Dragway, where it made its way to the final, and at that event set the national speed record at around 301 miles an hour. That has since been reset by Johnny Cowan to 321 miles an hour. But this car does have 450 potential, 330 mile an hour capability.
Well, you'd think that Pommy Reed would go into this one as odds-on favourite, but as we've seen in big events so far, anything can and will happen.
Bob Shepard summed it up the best way when he said, they might run 4s all day, but if they slip up, we'll drive around him. And that's what happened in the first round. The Lamatinas smoked the tyres, and he just putted on by. Well, wasn't putted. A 513 is very, very quick, with tuning assistance from Peter Wildman, Rochelle Splatt's former crew chief, and Rochelle Splatt also apparently returning to the sport of top fuel, which would be fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't that add another great personality to the game? Well, Pommy Reed taking a while to bring it into stage. Uncle Bob was already there for quite some time.
Look at the huge crowd here at Willowbank Raceway for the Queensland Group Top Fuel Eliminator. Both cars into stage. Oh, the whole chopper Reedy smokes the tyres, so does Shepard. Fireball, and Bob Shepard's going to the final.
Ooh, throw a belt towards the end there as well. He's throwing all sorts of stuff out the back there.
650, 271 miles an hour, or 435 Ks. And look at the Gulf Western team. They are ecstatic. What a sensational drive job by Bob Shepard. That's what it's all about. Not only did he get into the final, he got there on pure driving talent. That car was all over the place.
Well, this is really, in a lot of respects, a huge win for the common man, Nate, really, isn't it? because this is an underfunded operation. They put every dollar they have into it. You can see massive problems for Sanders Raposada in terms of what he'll have to spend in the next hour or so. It's throwing belts off, it's doing all sorts of things.
Well, Bob Shepard had a bit of everything in this pass. Bits flying off the car, tyre smoke. On the replay, have a look at Steve Reed pick the wheels up and something let go. Bob Shepard smoked the tyres. Steve Reed gets back on it, blows the blower off it. Then Bob Shepard gets back on the throttle. Now have a look at the Kennard Wing on the side of the car, comes under the wheel, then the car floats across the centre line. Great drive. Let's go to Stewie Bond.
Bob Shepard, mate, what a drive. You won it. Didn't cross the line, Oh, yes. That's the way to win them. The bloody thing went crazy. Oh, wow, that's unbelievable. There should be a million of these so everyone can have a ride, because you don't know what this is like until you ride one. You get out of this thing, you're high till the next time you get back in. There's nothing like this, nothing. Oh, this is just awesome. If you want to see excitement, wait till my daughter gets here. This is what it's all about. I love this. This is crazy.
A bit too aggressive on the start line, and it's history. And that's the trouble is anybody can win. It doesn't matter whether you're a number one qualifier. As long as you qualify in the field these days, everybody's got a chance of winning, and that's the best part of racing.
Oh my God!
Oh, well done. I told you to be here when she got here.
That family would have fun at a tax convention. Do they go off?
Like I said, if enthusiasm wins races, Bob Shepard should be the Australian top field champion. That whole team just ecstatic to be in the final. Who will he meet though? Jim Reed or Terry Sainty?
Oh, going on form, it'd be a difficult one to pick. Mechanically, Sainty has had some pretty tough cards dealt his way in the last few appearances for the Gulf Western Horse Drags. He'd have to perhaps lean a little towards Jim Reed, who mechanically has been fairly consistent, but hasn't always been big on luck.
Yes, they've been struggling this weekend. They put a brand new billet motor into the car, which they burnt up in qualifying. They've changed injector heads and put the old motor back in. Terry Sainty likes Willowbank Raceway though. Last time he was here, he made it to the final. That was at the ITEL Community Telco Australian Nationals. And Jim Reed, well, he's been struggling, but when that car gets together, when they get on top of the tune-up, that Auto 1 car should be the quickest car in the country.
I can't believe the groove, how thick and sticky the groove is down the centre of this raceway, how shiny and smooth it is off in the rough, as it were. So it's Reed v Sainty. This will be a great battle.
Yes, it certainly will. Jim Reed, the crew have really been struggling to come to terms with the combination. There's Denise Reed, very, very nervous indeed. She knows that, well, Jim hasn't got long in the seat, let's face it. We know that Phil Reed started his licensing procedure, and they'd like to see Jim in the last couple of times that he does get into this race car do well.
Sainty closest to camera, this shot right here. What can Jim do? Will it be one of the fresh new lights of the game, or will be the absolute grand master of top fuel racing in this country? Thanks to the Queensland group, Reed gets away, Sainty.
Sainty's got him covered all the way. He shuts off. Jim Reed rolls through and gets the win. What a drive job. Jim Reed, by the narrowest of margins, gets the win. A 5:41 beats a 5:54, 220 miles an hour versus 165 miles an hour. Terry Sainty got off the throttle and pulled the chutes. You can see Jim Reed had to pedal the car there, but if Terry Sainty didn't get on the parachutes, he would have rolled to victory. Have a look at the replay here, Wade. Jim was off the throttle, he chased him down. Terry's car's starting to burn itself up, but then Terry pulls the chutes. Now that slowed the car up enough for Jim to roll by and get the win.
Sainty had him covered. It looked like he was on his way to the final.
That was an instinctual thing by Terry Sainty. It's the first thing that most people do when they get off the car. Jim Reed's experience, he knew, I'll get off the throttle, I'll roll through. He got the win. Great job. Let's go to Stewie Bond in the braking area.
It was a bit nasty.
Bruce just said it was a pretty ugly run, but any win's a good win.
Mate, it was ugly. It's been ugly all weekend. It's like me. It's old and ugly. You know that bloke Shepard? I think he's older than me. I really do, and he's been telling me all day I'm going to get you. Bob's not going to get me.
Apart from the ferocity of the noise and the sheer acceleration, there's another prominent factor that distinguishes top fuel cars from everything else in drag racing, and it's been around since the dawn of time. Fire.
Besides the performance, header flames are probably the most enjoyable visual aspect of top fuel dragsters at full throttle. But why do top fuel cars throw flames? The answer is in the nitromethane they use as fuel. Nitro is a slow-burning liquid that releases liquid oxygen during combustion. The added oxygen means more fuel can be burnt and more power made. Although nitro is a slow-burning liquid, the main reason these cars shoot huge bursts of flame is due to the massive volume of fuel the engine processes. At full throttle, up to 7 litres per second of nitro is being fed through the motor. And with this much slow-burning fuel in the combustion chamber, when the exhaust valve opens, there's plenty of fire ready for the night sky.
These 8 short exhaust pipes shoot massive bursts of fire, and by observing the flames, you can get a pretty accurate gauge of the engine's performance.
American Auto Parts semi-final action now for top alcohol here at the 37th Winternationals. A massive crowd in the house here at Willowbank Raceway, Ipswich in Queensland.
Yes, Steve Reed brings the Start Your Bastard Mule on all products. Top alcohol funny car down for a nice big burnout. But look who he's up against, the master.
Well, you're always going to lead towards Phillips in this situation, but maybe Reed, a bit of a show of strength there, a huge burnout. Get that Newland entry fired up.
Well, if I was a betting man, I'd have to go for Steve Reed here because Gary Phillips shook the car pretty hard and didn't put a pass down in the first round, where Steve Reed went 584, 242 mile an hour. That funny car has found its form this weekend, and Phillips is going to have to pull that 570 performance that we know he's capable of if he wants to get around this funny car.
But doesn't he always respond when these big events are on the line? There's something about Phillips' incredible amount of trees he must have on the cabinet back home.
Well, if he wins this race, he wins his 11th, yes, that's right, 11th top alcohol championship. What's going on here? The starter, Royce, is signalling to Steve Reed that the car is dropping something. Shut it down. And that is what they are going to do. The engine winds down on that car. That is tragedy.
Man, it just sometimes motor racing can be so cruel.
The car was unfortunately dropping some sort of oil from underneath the car. It was obviously going to put the vehicle in some sort of danger. Any sort of fluid that comes out from underneath these cars with a huge horsepower they're trying to deliver to the racetrack out through the tyres. You can't have any sort of slipperiness underneath the tyres. Let's see what would happen. Oh, man. Look at that. Phillips shook the tyres. Steve Reed may have got around him. That is heartbreaking.
That's not what you want to see when you're Steve Reed being pushed back, you know, out of the staging area, and you watch Phillips have an absolute Barry Crocker of a run.
Well, Phillips, that's 2 rounds of eliminations. He's made it through quite comfortably with solo passes. Have a look, and you see why he gets off the throttle, though. Look at the tyre shake. Fierce tyre shake. And that is just hard luck for the Steve Reed team. The crowd there getting right behind them, and so they should. They've put a huge effort in here this weekend. But the winner, though, and the new top alcohol champion for the 11th time, Gary Phillips.
Well, Gary Phillips, you said lots of times you'd rather be lucky than good, but I've always believed that people who work hard make their own luck. 11 times champ, and Steve just gave you one.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, we're out here, it's getting cold, the track's cold. Hey, guys, there's a jet dryer there, start the sucker up. I mean, it really is, Stewie. The humidity's going up, juice coming in. But for Lucas Oil Products, yes, thanks. We'll take the 11th championship. So we'll see what happens in the final.
I can't believe it.
Well, there is Debbie Phillips congratulating her man, though. Yeah, he's thinking, geez, how lucky am I at the moment? I think he's been around long enough to know that that was a free kick. Anyway, winners and grinners. Dean Oakey, however, will come up against Ferguson to decide who is going to take on Phillips in the final.
And Ferguson and his team have been very busy between rounds in the pits, replacing and repairing that engine after it launched the supercharger off the top of it. Looks like we've got to reverse a problem here for Dean Oakey. Could this fall into the hands of Ferguson? Well, could it fall into the hands of Oakey? They're having trouble starting Ferguson's car.
Oh man, you can't believe the bad luck some of these teams are having, especially in crucial events.
Well, these guys would have just thrashed to make it here, and there's a lot of attention around the engine. I'm sure they were confident it would have started, otherwise they wouldn't have pushed out here, but obviously some sort of a gremlin has occurred and the car is refusing to fire. Oakey getting pushed back by the crew now. I think it's not so bad with the top alcohol car. With top fuel cars, it certainly does put a lot of extra heat in the clutch and can cause you big problems. The crew are signalling no, it's a solo pass. Dean Oakey is going to the final.
Well, here's a couple of very lucky individuals. Oakey now, what will he do? Will he get a strong run in? You'd hope he would, because this car has been a little short on track time.
Well, the car left a little tentatively. Oh, bangs a supercharger hard. Dean Oakey
Well, on a solo pass, he didn't need to do that, let's remember, and this is wise of him. He pulls up quickly and gets off the racing line. In case he's dropping any fluid, he doesn't want to oil the racetrack down all the way into the braking area. That's wise driving from Dean Oakey. But that was a solo pass. Theoretically, he could have staged the car and made it into the final, but he went for a number. Could this come back to bite him? Have a look for the flash of flame just past half track. Boom, there it is. Lifts the supercharger off. Let's hope the damage isn't too bad.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be back at the Winternationals after this. You're watching the Winternationals from Willowbank Raceway. Queensland Times semi-final action now brings up the two protagonists for the championship in Daniel Peaty and Morris Allen. We caught up with Morris Allen earlier today. He's taken us over his bike and how you change gears on these pro motorcycles.
With the gear shifting on a Pro Stock motorcycle, as you can see, it retains a stock gear lever. This is only used at the start of the run for the rider to enable himself to get up to the Christmas tree. So as you can see here, the clutch lever is used as per a conventional motorcycle. Gear lever here is selected for the burnout. Bike moves up into stage where first gear is selected. The clutch lever comes in, up on full throttle, and then from there, the button is actually used for the next 4 gears. So pretty simple process.
Well, this matchup is exactly what Morris Allen needs. If he's to win the championship, he has to go around further than Daniel Peaty. So in other words, he has to beat him here and win the event.
Beautifully turned out machines, both of them. Set for a red light.
Peaty throws it away on the start line. A 2:62 red light. He goes too soon by just over 1/10 of a second. Morris Allen gets the win. 7:69 with a 6, 7:69 with a 2 would have been good enough for Peaty. Unfortunately, now he has to wait to see whether Allen can win the event.
Fantastic. Treasury Home Loans, ADAPS, Dale Gilbert, Jeff McKetty, and Barry. The guys have done a fantastic job. We've worked hard. We've been consistent. We're not here by chance. You know, we've earned this spot, and look out for the final because we're ready to rumble.
Well, will it be Sam Scarry, the defending champ, or Nev Langley? Here's a bit of a look at Sam Scarry.
Sam Scarry is the reigning Australian Pro Stock motorcycle champion. But the way the points are looking this year, hanging on to that number 1 won't be easy.
To try and retain it, it's going to be a very tall ask. It will be. This season alone, the competition has risen dramatically. This is probably the closest in competition race I've been in my racing career.
So what's happened to shake Sam Scarry's dominance in the category?
I think the biggest thing that we had was last season, 2 rounds. Pretty relaxed. This season, 5. And it was a big rush. It really, really was. I mean, I feel like I'm riding better because I'm riding it more often. And I think, unfortunately, funds was one of the biggest things. Trying to change parts in the bike. We got parts in the bike just too old. We have to replace them, and I think that's the difficult part is just replacing the parts we need to.
The competition in this category is becoming super tough. So who is Sam Scarry most concerned about?
It doesn't bother me who's next to me. When I get there and stage, my mind is focused on that tree and getting down the other end as fast as I can and being first. So realistically, no, it doesn't bother me who it is.
Well, he said it all right there. The competition levels have just gone through the roof. So this will be a beauty here. Can Scarry take care of Langley? Well, he'll be pumped up.
He won't win the championship this year. The number 1 you see on the wheelie bars will be going to either Morris Allen or Daniel Peaty. And I guess both of these guys will be watching with interest to see who will go to the final to meet Morris Allen and who will be able to put Morris Allen away, because if that happens, Peaty wins. If Allen wins, Morris Allen wins the championship. Looks like Langley's got the edge on Scarry, but here comes Scarry, comes back at the top end of the racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
He gets there. 7:60 beats a 7:63. What a ride.
Timing is everything, isn't it, Nath? He just came back beautifully here. Langley got out of the traps. Couldn't fault his run there, but Scarry got some great top-end speed.
Yes, 174 miles an hour. That's the reason he rode around him in at the top end of the racetrack, and that's why he got the win.
I could see him side by side next to me, and be quite honest with you, I didn't know who won.
Trev doesn't smile much. You reckon he's smiling now?
Oh, I reckon he's jumping, I reckon.
Time for some modified action right here, and no, it's not Dick Johnson, it's the Shell Helix modified. Doesn't it look good too? Very nicely turned out. This is Mark Allen, a 350 Chev.
Yes, Mark Allen is one of those guys that has come up through junior dragster into modified eliminator. Has had a bit of a break off the sport, I believe, hurt an engine, but it's great to see him back. And on his way to the final, he gets a solo pass. This is a Group 3 category, so it's dial your own. Gives him a chance to test his dialing, and he runs it through the top end of the racetrack.
761 at 144.09 miles an hour. There's a nice looking car. Troy O'Hare and Bill Osling squaring off here for a couple of roadsters, one with a 380 Clevo and one with basically 502 BBC.
Big block Chevrolet. Osling in this exact lane during qualifying was very lucky to be avoided by this T-bucket that ploughed the wall hard right near the camera position and then just glanced against the wall on the other side. The driver was A-OK, but the car a little second hand. Let's see if O'Hare can put away Osling. Both of them, same paint, same cars.
Very much difference in the way of cubic horsepower, cubic inches, I should say. Red light.
Problems for Osling staging the car by the looks of things. So O'Hare makes his way through to the final. He'll drive it out the back door to test that dial in.
O'Hare runs a 9:29 at 141.55 miles an hour. That puts him into the final. Ultimate Financial Group now, the sponsors of this Super Sedan semi-final. It's Tony Wedlock's company, as a matter of fact. It brings Steve Carpenter in the Falcon XR8 with a 982 dial-in up against Dave Foreman in the Holden Chimera Chevy 412 cubic inch, thank you very much, 869 dial-in.
Yeah, so Foreman's car, the Chimera left of screen, the quicker of the two cars. So the Ford will leave first, then the Chimera will do all the chasing. You have to be very consistent, very close to your dial-ins, cut good lights and run right on that dial-in to win in this category. You can see the head looking over for Carpenter. He's going to get there first, but I think he's gone too quick. Carpenter runs a 978 on a 982 dial-in, so you got there first, but there's a great example. You go too quick, you lose. Foreman's into the final, and he's going to meet this man. Getting the solo pass is Alan Burley in the beautiful Tirana. He's dialed in with a 978. Let's see what he runs. He's going to test that dial-in. Of course, being a solo pass, he can't lose unless he crosses the centre line, and it gives him a chance to drive the car as hard as it could, see how it runs in these conditions. And a 980 is right on the money. He'll be keeping it there for the final.
Morgan and Wacker bringing you the competition bike action right now. Danny Grotto up against John Parker. If Parker is able to win this, he wins the Australian Championship effectively. But talk about drama. These guys are about to race a Royal Australian Air Force F111 down the quarter mile. Of course, this circuit, Willowbank Raceway, is just around the corner from Amberley Air Force Base where the F111s are housed. It is scheduled to do a flyover right at the exact time that these guys take off. So here comes the F111 and Mark III, you would assume. And there go the guys down the quarter mile. Parker is able to get the win and the Australian Championship, but not quite clock the same time as the F111. Fantastic stuff indeed for Parker. Upstaged a little, you would think. Of course, this is all just part of the Willowbank experience. The Winternationals, a big dump and burn coming from the F111 right here. As we said, Amberley just around the corner. Spectacular stuff, whether it's on the circuit or in the air. There's always something for these 38,000 fans to get a gander at. Spectacular? Absolutely. Well, bringing up now a solo pass. We saw Parker getting into the next round and wrapping up the championship in doing so.
Yes, and Calvin Britton with the solo pass into the final. He'll run it through the back door and meet John Parker for the final of Morgan and Wacker Comp Bike Eliminator.
It's semi-final time right now for the ITEL Community Telco Supercharged Outlaws, all part of the Winternationals here at Willowbank Raceway in Queensland. You talk about a crowd, just about everybody is here tonight. No one's at home. It is a massive turn.
And the good thing about the Winternationals is it attracts people from right around Australia. There's people here from Tasmania, Victoria, Western Australia, far north Queensland.
Everywhere it's cold.
Darwin. That's true, that's true. I don't think Darwin's too cold, and yeah, there certainly is. This place is known for its great weather during the day and great racing all of the time. Merrigan up against Coonan. Coonan, who had a massive crash here a number of years ago in his former Fairlane Supercharged Outlaws car with the throttle stuck open and ended up in the braking area upside down. Has got this beautiful looking car. Is it good enough, though, to get around the T-bucket?
Well, Team Bucket's been pretty stout so far. My money's on the Ford, though. We'll see. Oh, not the best of starts. I put the kiss of death right on him. And the Vandal is out of here.
Yeah, it's all over for Tommy Kuhn, and Merrigan gets the win, 7:54 at 179 miles an hour, or 286 Ks on a 7:40 dial-in, so he'll be back for the next round. Speaking of the next competitors, Brett Hoare, can you believe it? He wasn't meant to even make the field. He's on his way to the final. Daniel Callahan has oil pressure problems. Brett Hoare gets the solo pass. He's going to stage the car, save on maintenance, and make his way to the final.
With 4 kids, mate, they couldn't possibly have a racing budget, so I'd say that's what they're going to take, the easier option. As well they may. Well, that, as you said, they weren't even going to be in the field.
Well, we got the final coming up real soon.
Lifestyle Carpets and Vinyl bringing you a Superstock semi-final. Trevor Mass in that car that is for sale. And the Pontiac of Colin Lloyd. Really nice body shape, the Pontiac of Lloyd's.
Yes, both of these guys running the same class. However, their indexes are slightly different due to the fact that Lloyd had hurt his in the previous round. An 8.70 for Trevor Mass and an 8.62 for Colin Lloyd. He went quicker than his index in the last round of racing, therefore it drops down. Now, obviously, you see straight away by looking at the differences in the indexes that Colin Lloyd now has to work harder to beat the Celica of Trevor Mass.
You'd still fancy Lloyd to put Mass away. We'll wait and see. Oh, almost instant reaction time, almost exactly the same.
Yeah, slight advantage off the start line. Both of the guys running very, very sharp lines. Lloyd is going to get there.
Mass nearly had him.
8.51 at 157 mile an hour, or 252 K, so he really had to push that index hard. Has really hurt it for the next round, but have a look at this by eye. Very little in it on the finishing line.
Yeah, absolutely, it was incredibly close. And here is Vincenzo Demizio up against Mark Ashford. Ashford, who was a little bit lucky in his previous round when the Falcon he was competing against red lighted.
He wasn't lucky in the sense that he drove it out the back door, though, and he hurt his index a little bit. But I like this combination. We've got 330 cubic inches of naturally aspirated V8 Chevy up against 122 cubic inches of turbocharged Nissan in the front of that beautiful car of Ashford. Ashford gets out. He's got to do the chasing on the Beretta. He gets right over near the centre line. He cannot touch that centre line or else he's disqualified. He gets there first, but the officials are deeming that he has touched the centre line and has therefore been disqualified. That gives the win to Demizio. He will be making his way to the final. Let's have a look at this on replay. Did he touch it? Well, he ran certainly down alongside it, but I can't see where the car has touched that centre line. That is a tough call.
A hard one to make at that speed too. This is a slow motion replay look at it.
The car got close, but did it touch it? Not our call, and I'm thankful for that.
Ultimate Financial Group Super Sedan final. There is Foreman in the Chimera up against Alan Burley. Foreman with an 871 dial in and Burley a 978.
Yeah, so Foreman's still the quicker of the two cars, but it's not what it's about in Super Sedan Eliminator. You've got to be consistent. That's what it's going to take to get the win. Of course, cutting good reaction times helps as well. If you get off the start line ahead of your competitor, get a bit of a break, you can feather the throttle a little bit, look over your shoulder and see if you can run him down in the top end of the racetrack.
And a car that is a complete pig may well win this. That's what the plates say, at least on the Tory.
404 to a 407. Both of these guys red hot on the start line. Looks like the Tirana's going to get there first, and it does. 9780 on a 978 dial, and you don't get better than that.
Now, it's been a long weekend. The guys have worked hard on the car.
They certainly have, yeah. My hats off to all the guys.
Modified final time right now here at the Willowbank Raceway for the Winternationals. 38,000 people in the house. And they're about to watch Mark Allen in the right lane, the dragster, up against the Ford Roadster with a 380 Clevo of Troy O'Hare.
Yes, and O'Hare had a lucky run into the final, a red light in the other lane. Let's see, he's got to really work for it this time. Allen, a very experienced racer. The dragster gets out, starts to bounce around. The Roadster has the advantage. Of course, this is your own racing, though. You've got to be able to run right on that index. O'Hare gets there first and gets the win. He runs a 9.27 on a 9.27 dial-in and gets the win.
A win at the Winters is everyone's dream. I guess you guys have got a big party tonight.
Oh, yeah. It's been a rough weekend all round, really. We broke things last night and had some luck on our side today. What can I say? It was our weekend.
So it's final time now for Morgan and Wacker comp bike action. Kelvin Britton and John Parker squaring up. Kelvin aboard the Suzuki, Parker on the Harley.
Yes, and John Parker, it's fitting that this is sponsored by Morgan and Wacker, of course the sponsor of John Parker, who's just recently been crowned again the competition motorcycle champion. Narrow victory in the semi-final. He's really going to have to do something to get around Britton, who has been red hot this weekend. Both riders moving into stage. Wait for Parker to bring the bike into stage. There it is. He counts down. Oh, he's red lighted. Can you believe it? Calvin Britton is the Winternationals winner.
Did you see the crew behind the lane? They were absolutely going off.
An 8.17 for Britton. A great job. He's the winner of the Winternationals, beating the new champion.
Kelvin Britton, Winternats champion. Well done.
Thank you. It's been a weekend. But you got to have a bit of luck go your way every now and again. And that was good. John red lighted in the final, but excellent.
Probably wasn't thinking hard enough, and there's no need to do what I did, but I was just going for it.
Lifestyle Carpets and Vinyl about to bring you the final now for Superstock. A massive crowd in the house. This will be a good battle, make no mistake about that. Colin Lloyd, what can he do? He's been pretty stout in his runs to this point. Is he going to be able to take care of Vincenzo Demizio, a car that's pretty well being debuted for Vincenzo?
Yes, and what a get out of jail for Vincenzo. He was beaten to the finishing line by Ashford, but Ashford was deemed to have touched that centre line, disqualified. Vincenzo was put back into the spot. Well, both of these guys have punished their indexes a little bit, with Lloyd's now down to a 8.60, so he really is going to have to push this car to its limits to get around that beautiful Peruka Adult Services Beretta. Bit of a staging duel. Neither one wants to go into stage. Lloyd rolls it in first. We're waiting on Demizio. Both guys get away cleanly. Not super when it comes to the reaction times. They're side by side. I think Lloyd's got him. Lloyd's there. Here comes the Chevy. And Demizio wins. What a dream run.
Oh, and the boys are ecstatic, mate. They're absolutely pumped. As well, they might be the Paraka Adult Products entry. It's a Paraka in South Australia, mate. Beautifully turned out car and does the job.
What a sensational job, and he is pumped.
Well, a whole shot win is the best way to win the Winters. Hard work, but you did it well.
Mate, first debut for the car. Oh, this is ultra fantastic. Oh, I just got to thank all my sponsors, Paraka Adult Products, Allstate Marble and Granite, my crew, they are fantastic. Steelo, Nick, Raph, Tommy for helping me, Mark Lee, all the guys, this is absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have hoped for anything better.
I think the party's at your place tonight.
Oh, definitely, come around. Thank you guys. Yes, yes.
Well, this is it. Final time now for the ITL Community Telco Supercharged Outlaws at the Willowbank Raceway Winternationals. Well, Brett making a fair effort of it in the burnout situation.
Yeah, nice big burnout for the huge crowd. He's very happy. Let's face it, he didn't even think he was going to go racing today. He had officials run up to him prior to the first round and say, hurry up, mate, we've had a car drop out. And look at this, he's in the final. Peter Merrigan has also done a great job with this 352 cubic inch small block Chev powered T-bucket to make it this far. He's been running very consistently, but he's always been just above that dial in. Let's see if he's changed it for the final. No, still with a 7.40 and 8.25 for Hore. So this car has run 7.60s before. I think what Hore's looking to do is keep a little bit up his sleeve, go out hard and then get off the throttle if he needs to.
From Echuca Moama in Victoria, couldn't be any further away from home as they get set here at Willowbank.
Oh, problems for Merrigan. I saw the car struggling to stage, and Brett Hoare is the winner of the ITEL Community Telco Supercharged Outlaws here at the Winternationals. That's 2 wins in a row for the team. Congratulations, Nicole and Brett. Great job.
Well, this will be an incredible battle right here. The Dutch Master entry arriving for work very early. Morris Allen up against Sam Scary. Scary, the defending champ, though I think he's not going to have enough points to defend that title this year.
No, certainly not. Morris Allen is the defending Winternationals champion, though, but Morris has got the additional pressure of not only trying to win this race, but if he does win this, he will win the Australian Pro Stock Motorcycle Championship and take it away from Daniel Peaty. Petey is on the sidelines, biting his fingernails. He, I'm certain, is going for that Dutch Master bike.
Isn't it fantastic when a championship comes down to this?
The last race of the year, identical reaction times, can you believe it? A 4.24 and a 4.24, but Sam Scarey is going to get the win. 7.65 beats a 7.80, 172 miles an hour or 275 kilometres an hour for the win. Sam Scarey wins the Winters, Daniel Petey wins the title.
Morris Allen comes second twice, if that's possible. He comes second in this race and second in the championship. Scarey just puts together a blinder. That's the form that made him the defending champion.
How's the intensity on the start line though? Identical reaction time.
That was an awesome run. I thought I red lit, but the bike felt great. Bit of a mistake on the shift, but the Dutch Master Suzuki prevailed. I hope so.
Congratulations to Daniel. Trevor Birrell, who obviously looks after Sam's bike, has been fantastic with cylinder head with equal performance all weekend. Wanted to put on a show for the crowd. The championship, well, hey, you know, there's always next year.
American Auto Parts top alcohol final time now, and here is Mr. Immaculate himself, Gary Phillips, in the Lucas Oil Products Dragster. He'll come up against the sponsor of the series, Mr. American Auto Parts himself, Oakey, though we're not seeing Oakey on the line at this point, Nathan.
In an unfortunate move, Dean Oakey was unable to repair the car, so Gary Phillips gets his 11th championship and wins another Winternationals. What an incredible run of luck Gary Phillips has had this round. Dean Oakey, you've got a feel for him, Wade. All he needed.
My hat's off to him, Nath, because he went out there to put on a show for the fans. Yes, he could have put it in stage and just driven it out, basically been straight to the final, but he put on a show.
He did. He tried to drive the car through, put on a show for the huge crowd that's here at Willowbank for the Willowbank Winternationals. Unfortunately, it's come back to bite him. Take nothing away from the Lucas Oil Products top alcohol dragster of Gary Phillips. This team have done a sensational job all year to win the championship, and they do deserve this victory here at the Winternationals.
What a hollow feeling it must be for Oakey to be standing by, watching all this happen without him. It's almost like missing a plane, isn't it?
Well, Phillips has only put one full pass in all weekend, and that was in qualifying with a 5.75. Let's see what he runs now. I'm sure he'll have this car hopped up to see if he can run into the 5.60s. The car's been plagued with tyre shake. Revs are up, comes out, shakes. Horribly, he gets off the throttle, and Gary Phillips wins the Winternationals by not putting a single full-powered pass in one round of eliminations.
Coasting through to get the cash. That's what sometimes can happen in drag racing.
Well, congratulations to Gary Phillips. He runs a 12.2 at only 62 mile an hour to get the win. He had to get off the throttle. Have a look at this replay. This is what severe tyre shake is. That breaks parts, but congratulations, Gary Phillips.
Well, there's the old story. I think I'd rather be lucky than good. I don't know if it was luck this time. It was just we had the strongest car thanks to Lucas Oil Products. Rods are in it, everything's perfect. It shook on that run, and discretion was the better part of valour. For Lucas Oil Products and Aussie Bananas and the whole crew, 11 championships. Thank you very much, guys. Really, thank you very much.
Well, we've seen some turn-ups for the books so far this weekend, and the Queensland Group Top Fuel final now. Jim Reed up against Quarter Mile Smile, Bob Shepard. Well, two of the old stages. Jim likened himself to old and ugly. Both of them are pretty bloody fast, though.
Yes, and Bob Shepard, he will be absolutely over the moon to just have had this many rides in a race car. He says 2 qualifiers in the first round's good enough for him. He's had another ride in the semi, and now he gets another ride in the final. Jim Reed moves forward in the Queensland Group Top Fuel Eliminator. Queensland Group property developers in Brisbane, and with some great cash prizes on offer. Oh, not a lot of activity around the Gulf Western team. Look at the arms folded. Is Bob Shepard, he's taking his gloves off. He is getting out of the car. They cannot start this car. What tragic luck for Bob Shepard and his crew.
Look at the faces of the crew. Look at his daughter. I thought I was worried about her, whether she was going to be able to handle the excitement of it all, but now look at that. It's a frown on the Quarter Mile Smile helmet. And that will leave Jim Reed a solo pass in the final.
Well, Jim Reed, this is not the way he'd like to win it, but let's just face it, Jim has had a rotten run of luck lately, and he's going to take it. He's the winner of the Winternationals, the final race of the year. He hasn't got the championship. That went to Johnny Cowan. Congratulations to the Cowan family. But Jim Reed, he does deserve this victory, that's for sure. They've been trying super hard to get this car together, and it's all seems to be working quite well for them here at the Winternationals.
So a solo pass for the Grandmaster of drag racing in this country, that is for sure. Jim Reed with nothing but clear track in front of him. What will he run it through at? You can bet he'll probably try and run it hard.
Oh, the car very hard indeed. Stops the clocks with a 5.12, 213 miles an hour. He shut that car off so early and it still ran a 5.12. Look at the speed, only 213 miles an hour. Let's take a look at this on the replay. The car leaves very, very hard indeed. Gets out towards the centre line. People say that top fuel cars don't need to be driven. Well, I tell you what, there's proof. Look at the way it moved around. But what's incredible is that car ran 254 mile an hour to half track. Let's break it down on the run now. 0.892 of a second to the first 60 feet, to 330 feet now, 2.279 seconds. The car then tracks on down towards half track at 660 feet. It gets there in 3.27 seconds and is doing 254 mile an hour. Up to the 1,000-foot marker now, 4.17 seconds. By that stage, the car is already shut off, and he rolls across to a 5.12 at 213 miles an hour.
I think I'm getting too old for this.
Is that a message for Phil?
Well, Phil better make sure he's got his fire suit dry cleaned. I'll say that much.
That's all we have time for here at Willowbank Raceway from the Winternationals. Congratulations to Jim Reed and all of the series champs.
Coming up after the break, we look back on all the action from round 6 of the 2006 Australian Offshore Superboat Championship.